We are what? We are who? We are what? Vibrant. We are who? 50 plus. Hi, welcome to Gray Lives on the Rise. I am your host, Professor Jamila Franklin, and we are coming to you from Oyende Enterprises, being sponsored by Jamila Sense, which is our product line of aromatherapy products that helps heal the mind, body, and soul. And we are bringing to you Alamaj's rebirthing program, as well as Jamila Sense, and a host of wonderful programs that will help heal your body, heal your soul, and heal your mind. 50 plus people, we are here to stay. Gray Lives on the Rise. We are what? We are who? We are vibrant, and we are here to stay. Join us for our wonderful episodes. Thank you, and continue to look for our episodes weekly, being brought to you again from Oyende Enterprises and Jamila Sense. See you soon. Greetings, everyone. Welcome again to a wonderful episode of Gray Lives on the Rise. I am your host, Professor Jamila Franklin, and today we have the wonderful, inspirational Warren Mitchell. And I will bring him on in a few minutes because you're going to be really, really intrigued by his background and his commitment to service. But in the meantime, I'm just going to give you some background information about Gray Lives on the Rise. We started about over 2 years ago. And I was walking one day, and then this download came into my consciousness that said there's nothing out there that addresses people who are 50 plus. And I said, oh, wow, that's true, except Medicare and AARP. And I don't subscribe to either one of those. I think they're wonderful, but my health is good. And so I don't have to take pharmaceuticals. Not that there's anything wrong with it. It's just that I don't have to take any. And AARP has the connotation that people are sedentary and retired, and they are not. But that's the image that people have when they think about AARP. So I said, oh, yeah. And then it said, well, you need to have people who are 50 plus relinquish how they see themselves because they're not over the hill, elderly, and basically retiring from life. And I said, yeah, we are vibrant, we're mature, we're golden, we're seasoned, and we're ready for the second phase in our lives. So, and then the other thing was like, you need to have a store. So yeah, Gray Lives on the Rise merchandise. So I have on our t-shirt, Gray Lives on the Rise, and it comes in several colors. It comes in black, grape, pink, and white. Beautiful. We have cups, we have totes, we have floor mats, we have makeup bags, whatever you name, we have it in our store. So to promote our mantra, we have everything printed on it, and it's high quality. That's all. That's the only thing we know how to do is high quality merchandise. The other thing is the download said, well, you need to have a podcast. And I said, yeah. And I've talked to people all around the world, from Serbia and Eastern Europe, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, the Netherlands, Haiti, the UK, the Philippines, Costa Rica, and America. I may have left off one or two, but you get the gist. You get the gist. And everyone with whom I spoke said the same thing, that he or she, or his male and female, had been relegated to a place of insignificance. And people, when you hit 50, people tend to think that you're no longer relevant. So I said, well, I will provide the platform for us to talk to each other about issues that concern us, because we're not interested in the things that 20, 30, and 40-year-old people are interested in. Most of us have children that have long gone from home, And we're living our best lives, the second half of our journey, and we're just having fun. So yeah, that's wonderful. So then that's what happened, and we're now coming into our 100th episode in a couple of more episodes. So this is wonderful. This is wonderful. After this episode, as a matter of fact, it would be our 100th episode. So we've been around and we're doing well. We're averaging between 4 to 10,000 views, and we're doing very well globally. Okay. So we're very, very grateful and thankful to you, the listeners who support us, and always like, subscribe, and tell others about Gray Lives on the Rise. And so I'm going to talk now briefly about the company. One of my companies is sponsoring it because we have to pay the bills. So Jamila Sense is one of my companies. It's an all-natural aromatherapy company, and all our products are made by me, and they're all natural. So this product, Jamila Sense, this is my number one seller, which is Peace Be Still. And you can see that it's transparent, it's clear, because aromatherapy products should not have color. That's food coloring or dye that they put in, which is not normal nor natural. So you put a few drops in your hands, the palms of your hands, rub them together, and you breathe in. Gets all the stress, anxiety, depression, hyperactivity within children, sinus congestion, sinus headaches, migraine headaches. And then you can put the rest on your arms and your legs. And it gets rid of flies and mosquitoes because they do not like the scent. So you don't have to have toxic DDT and the bug spray that would kill you. You can just buy our products, which are all natural, and help the body heal itself. So go to our website to find out more about Great Lives on the Rise and Jamila Sense. The parent website is Oyende Enterprises. So all of my companies are listed underneath that umbrella, and that's spelled OYIN like in Nancy, D like in dog, E Enterprises, ENTERPRISES.com. And you will see Gray Lives on the Rise, which is my latest baby, and you'll see all the other companies. And I am a certified Reiki master, a certified aromatherapist, a certified metaphysician, a college professor of psychology, and I have my own holistic practice, counseling practice, and I've had it for over 30 years. And also, I am an award-winning published author of 2 books. So that's enough about me. You go on my website, you see I've done a lot more than that, but that's just an abbreviation of what I do. And so I'm very, very committed to helping you and helping you on your journey. And that's the reason why we have the podcast, so we can bring these wonderful, wonderful people like Mr. Warren Mitchell to you to talk about the things that will best serve you. So now, having said that, let me introduce Mr. Warren Mitchell. Warren Mitchell, LCSW, is a licensed clinician, author, and personal culture curator. I love that. With over 35 years of experience walking alongside people through their most defining moments of change. His debut book, The Sacred Forge, my computer's freezing. The Sacred Forge, the fire was never meant to destroy you. Published through Grove Place Press, is built on a deceptively simple but life-altering premise. The fire you've been trying to escape may be the very thing designed to remake you. That is so true. Drawing on clinical wisdom, ancestral healing, traditions, and over 3 decades of sitting with people in crisis and transformation, Warren reframed suffering as sacred process, not punishment, not accident. but forge. That's very true. The Sacred Forge invites readers to stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, how can I become a better version of myself through it? A shift that changes everything. That is so true, Warren. That is so true. Thank you for
Uh,
joining us this evening. We are so pleased to have you with us. And I would like to start off by talking about your upbringing, where you're from, how did you come to this sacred place and this inner wisdom and knowing in terms of having people sit still. That's something that people are so uncomfortable with, sitting still with themselves and looking within themselves to see why they are attracting what they're attracting. Because people have been programmed to project everything outside of themselves. So,
right.
what's who is Warren and how did Warren come to be this, what I call this spiritual metaphysician? Someone who understands his connection to spirit, Yahweh, God, Oladamare, whatever name people call that energy, and just see you uh, a reflection of that energy. So let's start with your upbringing and come all the way up to the present.
All right. Thank you. Well, thank you, first of all, for inviting me to your podcast and to be a witness of 50 and great, I guess, great and becoming great, continuing to become. Because as long as you're breathing, there's opportunity for growth. And thank
Sure.
you for the opportunity to help me talk about my new book. I am originally from St. Croix, Virgin Islands. That's the U.S. Virgin Islands. My parents are Annie and Stanley Mitchell. My father's from St. Lucia. My mother's from Dominica. And my sister and brother and I were born in St. Croix. I grew up there, really appreciated life there, not as much as I did after I left. There's so many things we take for granted while we're there on an island.
Yeah.
The beautiful water, nature. Like I wasn't into nature as much as I am into it now and use it in my practice as well. My practice for myself and as well as for clients. So then grew up there and went to school 1985 when I went to DeVry, when it just opened up here in Atlanta. And I went to school for electronics engineering, actually. As you can see, that's not what I'm doing. I am. I didn't know until, the struggles, the fires that I went through during those times that my calling had to redirect me. Like I had an interest in wanting to understand truth. I thought it was about electronics and understanding things and how they were made up. But I then realized it was about understanding people, understanding life, understanding people and our connection to spirit. And I had to go through the fire to be inducted and into a deeper understanding of that. The wisdom that I have is through, after giving my life up to God and just asking for the wisdom to help me through life, I began seeing things a little differently and things that were right in front of me. I saw different perspectives. I saw depth in them that was just fascinating for me. And so right now, I just enjoy understanding truth and I'm learning to no longer be afraid of uncertainty, the unknown, and realizing that mystery is a gift in itself that allows for exploration, that allows for making mistakes, trusting the spirit, trusting self, trusting your community, or learning who to trust and not trust. And so it's been a beautiful experience to be here. So I've been, as you indicated, in private practice in the field for over 35 years, with private practice around 20 years now.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So, what is your specialty in your private practice?
While I do not focus on diagnosis specifically, my
Mhm.
focus is on helping people wherever they are to learn to become the best version of themselves, to live out the brilliant wonder of who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that from my own spiritual background and connection, that using nature as I indicated, um, that nothing goes to waste. And so,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what we have gone through, what we are going through, there is a way to use those experiences, those in the fires of those experiences, for us to be transformed, to become better than what we were when we went in. And so, learning to see reality, including the uncertainty of things, as a partner in life rather than an enemy or foe to be
Mm-hmm.
avoided or to be battled. So
Mm-hmm.
my practice is about helping people to get to a place of recognizing that, hey, the fire was not meant to destroy you. And this here are some practical frameworks that we can use to help you to uncover that, to live that out, to make that a living practice rather than just some theory.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that can be so challenging, like I had mentioned earlier, because people have been so programmed to want to project what's on their inner stuff onto their outer environment and not really accept responsibility for that.
Right. Right.
So, and those outer things do, they do affect you. You know, like what's
Right.
going on now within this country and whatever. That's not something that melanated people really created on their own. So I'm very much aware that the external environment place certain kinds of fears and assumptions, and people accepted those and adopted those as their reality. So it continued to perpetuate this false reality. So it didn't begin. This didn't begin with us, the melanated people. I know that, but then what we have to do is transmute and push back and say that's not the truth of who we are. So how has your practice evolved? Because it seems like you started with a clinical base and now you're more holistic.
Yeah, I always I like the spiritual part of it has always kind of been there, whether I recognize it as spiritual or not.
Mhm,
While I grew up Catholic, I went to my father was an inspiration in his dedication to just going to church. He was an usher in church. Whether my mom was going or not, he was going. And so that was really meaningful for me to see that. But what was even more meaningful was his engagement with people
mhm,
and how influential he is to who I am now and how I've become. I remember I may have been 7, 8. We were at a friend's party one night, and I overheard two men talking about him, and they were just saying all these good things about him. And I told myself that one day I'm going to be like that, where people are going to talk about me behind my back and mostly have good things to say.
mhm,
And so that was a sense of spirituality that I didn't identify as spirituality at that time. And
mhm,
as I grew and got involved in the Catholic ministries and came to the States, got involved deeper in ministry, and it was not just Catholicism. I just recognized that God isn't just in one place, and we
mhm,
have to be careful of placing God in a box, and begin to be open to other religious perspectives and hearing their perspectives on how they see God and seeing some really powerful things from it. And especially you talked about you were Reiki certified. I am as well. And while I was in the training, I'm listening to this and I'm like, this is faith. Like, and we, distance healing and all. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's
mhm,
another term. And so we put, if we're not familiar, we put down things like we call it new agey or when people talk
mhm,
about energy and all this type of stuff. But it's a lot of this stuff is spirituality. And
mhm,
so for me, it was about recognizing, like, you know what, let me stop trying to put God in a box
mhm,
and let me allow God to show up how God wants to show up for me. And so let me not limit myself and my experiences. And therefore, the amount of people that I encounter, they come from various backgrounds.
Mm,
And people feel a beginning part of spirituality is helping people to feel at least secure, if not safe, or safe, if not secure, in wherever they are, whatever brought them through these doors. As soon as they step through the door, come into the building, the space is the beginning of spirituality from my engagement with spirituality with them. So it's before I
right.
even say a word, how I decorate the place is a welcoming and a
Hmm.
spiritual opening, a safety for people. And so spirituality, nature teaches so many things about spirituality as well, and our relationship with nature as siblings, if you would, I think is part of what spirituality is about. We are not to think that we are better than we're responsible for, but we must allow nature to also teach us. We must allow ourselves to be in a position of humility and let, like for an older person like ourselves who are mature in a sense, we can learn from infants. We can learn from younger ones and not be too arrogant to think that the spirit only comes through us to them and not think that the
Right.
spirit can't use them to us. And so that aspect tells me to I don't have to be perfect. I was never designed to be, and that came from a perfectionism of insecurity as well as culture and even religion that taught me that, and I didn't want that anymore because I used to put myself down
Hmm.
a lot.
Hmm. That is so true. That is so true. And I think the reciprocity is what you're talking about in terms of children giving to us and we're giving back. Even in terms of nature, we release certain kinds of gases and the plants receive that and they release certain kinds of gases. It's that reciprocity. And we
All
have
right,
to really be in touch with our inner guides
all right,
and our inner selves so we can see how nature, how the Most High is always communicating with us,
always.
with animals. I have three fur babies, three kitties, and they are always communicating. I'm communicating with them too about setting
Yeah,
boundaries.
yes, yes.
Um, so in children's, because people tend to have this hierarchical kind of understanding about nature. They think that children can't really teach them anything. They think that animals can't teach them anything. And then as we mature, younger people tend to gaslight people who are older because they think that they know more than we, because sometimes some of us may have uh, some slight cognitive decline. And they think that that means that you're crazy. And it doesn't mean that at all. So I think
Right.
the West has really done a very interesting job in programming people not have to how not to have a relationship with their environment. It's
I
like
agree.
it teaches you just to think about this vessel that you're in and detach from everything else. Nothing else is relevant or matters. And that's why we see some of the things happening now because people are very self-centered and
Mhm.
are narcissistic to a certain extent.
That's right.
So what we're now doing is a lot of people are seeing that that doesn't work. That's not working. And we're going back to
Mhm.
self, going back to spirit because projecting and dealing and focusing only on the outer is not bringing people joy, peace, nor happiness.
That's
And,
right.
and fleeting financial stability is fleeting.
Mhm.
So I really admire the work that you're doing. Let's talk about your clientele.
Okay.
Who are your clientele? Are they mostly females, males? What's the age demographic? And
Mostly, mostly females, mostly women. Whether it be they come in as individuals for themselves, they come in as mothers, they come in as wives or partners. Um, they. they're coming in to find themselves. They're coming in, many not aware that part of what brought them in is they're breaking away from the traditional roles of what who you would identify as a woman, or in a sense of what is the role of a woman
Mm,
in relationships, in society, in culture. And women are breaking these ceilings, and it can be a lot for some of them, and to go against men, not just men in general, but men with a mindset that is limited, that operates from in a state of insecurity, that is intimidated by or afraid of women who may appear to know more, and not may just appear, but actually know more in a particular area,
mhm,
and deserves the kudos that she has earned to be where she is. And
mhm,
so what it reveals to us is how we too, not just, we've a few years ago heard about the toxic masculinity was a big thing, and how much it had damaged or caused harm rather to women and children. And I
mhm,
say not just women and children, it caused harm to men as well,
mhm,
creating an image of what manhood is that it is not, that it is limited, that it feels that in order to be on top, we have to put others down. Um,
mhm.
that we are, or that women are the emotional beings and we are not. No, we are human beings and we have emotions as well. And culture and life may have caused us to create an identity that takes us away from that, but
Yeah,
we're still emotional beings.
yeah, yeah. And I think that's a part of uh, allowing men to have the vulnerable side of them surface, because society has created this this male myth. Even it starts in childhood where men tell their sons, don't cry, which is
Right.
really unnatural. If you hurt yourself, you cry. You don't stay there, but you cry. Because that's why you have tear ducts. And that's what I tell men. I say, you have tear ducts for a reason. The Creator
Right.
would not have given them to you if you were not supposed to cry. If only females were supposed to cry, you wouldn't have tear ducts. So you have them for a reason. And they are there for emotional release when you feel something that's hurtful, pain, physically or mentally or emotionally. And like I
Right.
said, males or females, you don't stay there and become a blubbering mess, but you do
Right.
release, because that's one way that the body is letting go of the stress and the trauma. And if
That's
you,
right.
you don't allow, if you don't allow males uh, to release, then they internalize that, and then it becomes destructive.
Yeah, for themselves and those they love, unfortunately. Uh, and so I see men as well, while the predominantly it's mostly women, but because of women, half the males come in, because of their partner, their sons, their fathers, uncles, whomever, their brothers, they refer them, and sometimes they come in like, I'm just here because she said. And then
Hmm.
after a session or two, they recognize like, oh, this is good. Like I need this for me, and
Hmm.
recognizing having a safe space where a man can share with them and be with them in their emotional state and not look down on them because they are
Hmm.
vulnerable, because they're tearing up, or expressing what some might call weakness, or what they have learned as weakness, when it might
Hmm.
just be something you just don't know how to, and it's okay to acknowledge that. You
Hmm.
can't move forward and grow and getting to know more if you can't acknowledge the truth, if you can't name it, which is one of
Hmm.
the movements through the Forge, that we have to be able to name, identify what it is that we're dealing with,
Hmm.
without judgment, without a narrative that gives it some sort of value to discredit it, or uplift it in any way. It's just what it is. I'm sad,
Hmm.
or that I was triggered by what this person said when they said
Hmm.
such and such. That's it. And that, that's part of the full process of the Furge. And then I have another framework that talks, call it the IOA, that adds two more movements to that process. And so getting men to recognize that it's you don't have to flip. You don't have to know everything all at once. This is a journey and it takes practice to get
Mm-hmm.
this to of self-discovery and understanding your brilliance. It was never destroyed, right? We
Mm-hmm.
would just develop an identity. Let's say this is who we are. Uh, because if and what who we are gets cultivated and evolves, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we have the right habitat, right? But
Right.
if we don't have the right habitat, our need for survival, our need to live, creates a new identity because it doesn't believe there's anything below. So it creates a new foundation. Now worth is based on performance. Because I gotta please mom and dad, make them proud. I gotta please culture, and I gotta please religion. I gotta please society. I gotta be a certain because I'm melanated. There's certain things about being melanated that I need to be in order for me to be, and we limit ourselves. And so this, what I call a hook mindset, HOKE, a habitat of owning your Kayal existence. Kayal being a Somali and Arabic term that means illusion. So it's a habitat of owning your false self. And that
Mm-hmm.
false self creates what I call where the ego is in charge, um, as the um, as the chief or royal, the captain of the royal guards. It creates what I call a mental verse. The mental verse is a worldview where the ego keeps us it in charge, in control,
Mm-hmm.
because of a need to of this of an issue of trusting others based
Mm-hmm.
on the pain that we received that didn't make this part of us activate. So this was built on a reaction that I am nothing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I want to be something. So
Mm-hmm.
how do I become something? I gotta perform. Well, performing isn't the only thing. Not only I have to perform, I have to please certain people that validates my performance in order for me to really experience that I'm good enough when that's
Mm-hmm.
not what was designed. So that's just, seeing, naming, holding, honoring, whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is that's before we try and fix anything,
Mm-hmm.
right? Before we try to move from the discomfort of the fire, we gotta be aware that we are triggered.
Mm-hmm.
Reground ourselves in who we are and whose we are. Remind ourselves that, and so that we take back the throne from our ego, from our trauma, from our conditioning, from our survival mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Our nervous system wants us to lead, but if we're not doing what we're supposed to do, the nervous system will lean on whatever helps us feel better,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that is, even if it's unhealthy. It just wants to feel better. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
like staying in a heightened, hyperactive, hypervigilant state on an ongoing basis. We were not designed to stay in survival mode for an extended period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Because if
Mm-hmm.
we are, after a while, we become something else than who we are. Where
Mm-hmm.
survival becomes the chief operating governance system that drives us, where the ego, as the royal guard, is now sitting on the throne.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think that's an excellent way of explaining it. And I think when countries create the energy for war, that's exactly what they're doing. It's survival, and it becomes survival of the fittest. We're going to dominate you because we have to have a need to feel as if we're going to um, be here forever, and your presence threatens me.
Right.
So therefore, I have to suppress you or annihilate you so I can then feel safe. But then what happens is, like you were saying, and this is what people are talking about now recently in terms of the nervous system and the resilience. It's just the same thing with different names. After a while, you burn out. You can't
Right.
maintain. You can't
Exactly.
maintain that state of aggression, of that state of projection, of that state of denial. You just can't. So what happens is uh, even if you mentally try to think that you're going to be in charge and dominate a female or a male or a country or a people or whatever, your spirit, you're not in alignment
Right.
with your spirit. And even though you delude yourself to think that you're in control, like what's happening now, your spirit is telling you you really are not. And there's an expiration date on that. So if you don't acknowledge it, that's your physical body has a nervous breakdown. Something happens biochemically within your vessel because you're
Hmm.
not in alignment. You're not in order, and the
Right.
system cannot maintain itself if it's at an extreme and it maintains this chaotic state of not being in alignment. It just can't
Right.
maintain itself. So yeah, I like the way that you explain that.
The challenge with that sometimes, because some people, what the ego does when it's in charge, sitting on the throne, in its mental verse, it will attract people that will support its ways. So it no longer is living from a heightened state of survival because everything and everybody else around is supporting it. So it feels safe, it feels comfortable. So now greed becomes another aspect of not being living true to self. And so I never have enough. I
Hmm.
always want, as you talked about, dominating. Like I
Hmm.
don't feel comfortable until I have conquered all there is. And
Hmm.
if there's nothing else to conquer, I'm going to create drama for me
Hmm.
to conquer that, so that
Yes.
I constantly must constantly be doing
Yes.
something that keeps me feeling like I am better than I
Yes.
am this marvelous thing, and we don't need none of that to
No.
operate in brilliance,
No.
and it's
No.
it's it it's and that's why there's so many people who are there are really some really good people in the sense of they're people who are behaving in good ways who don't even know that they have been captivated by survival mechanisms that has found a way to be a counterfeit of what living healthy looks like. So as
Hmm.
long as it
I
looks like, then I'm okay. That person, I'm not a drunk. I'm not an addict. I'm not cheating on my partner. I am not doing, so I then believe I am better. Just the mere fact of doing that is pointing towards an issue,
yeah.
right? I need somebody to be less than, to
Yes.
performing less than, for me to feel better about where I am.
Yes.
And some of those same people, even if they are in some of the mess that they might be in, they can have an awakening and still be in those situations and be in a more grounded and peaceful state while they're working through the fires of whatever addiction or whatever it is that they're dealing with.
Hmm.
And we are looking at them and, yeah, you had that kind of life, but I didn't. And the
Hmm.
person who says like, okay, um, there's a story quickly I'll say that really touched me. It's from the book, I think, the spirituality of imperfection. It talked about a presenter, manager at an organization who was very insecure about public speaking and presentation, and he had to, lead trainings for his staff and whatnot. And every time he would do so, he would wet himself.
Hmm.
So his supervisor told him, you got to get some help for this. So he went and he got some help and started going in therapy. And after a couple months, came back, tell his supervisor that he's ready. He's like, okay, great. His next meeting, he still wet himself. And
Hmm.
the supervisor pulled him in. I was like, what happened? I thought you said you were ready. He's like, yeah, but you still wet yourself. But I'm okay now with it. I don't put myself down because of that anymore.
Hmm. He found
And we
his
don't,
peace. Hmm.
was that?
He found his peace
He's found
within.
his peace.
Yeah.
Yes. And we tend to think progress is I have to stop the behavior.
Hmm.
That's a sign that I've attained peace. No, you don't need, you can reclaim your throne and still struggle with whatever vice you're struggling with. But as
Hmm.
long as you're now treating your nervous system, your body, even your ego as part of you, not the ones to rule you. So what I
Hmm.
say in the book is that every part of us is welcome in the throne room,
Mm-hmm.
right? So whether it be our nervous system that's telling us something is off, our ego trying to vie for the position that it once had, we are listening. Everything part of us has a voice, but only one can rule, and that's
Mm-hmm.
our spirit self, as you mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
That is the part that must govern.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I want to take people to and come into that place because healing truly begins when we become aware and while we are in the fire, becoming aware that we are triggered, we don't react.
Yeah. Yeah.
We retain our calm. We find our calm. We remind ourselves of who we are and whose we are, and then we pay attention. What is it that you're saying? What is the message you would like to deliver to me? That could be our nervous system. It could be our ego. Speak to me. I'm here. And once they're used to us practicing that, they're no longer going to vie for the throne. But
Mm-hmm.
they don't trust us when
Mm-hmm.
we are in triggered situations, stressful situation, because we tend to submit to letting our ego and protective mechanism take over because it's easier.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's true. And that takes a level of introspection, and that
Hmm.
takes a level of being detached. It's like you become the observer observing you.
That's right.
And
That's right. Love it.
people
Yeah.
have a difficult time with that because you have to get still and say, okay, I'm feeling triggered. Let me let the higher part of me step back and watch the lower version of me to see what triggered me rather than
Right.
reacting to the person or the situation. Go deeper and say, oh, okay, I first felt this way when I was 6.
Right.
My mom said this to me.
That's right.
This is bringing back those memories. So
Yes.
then you can say, oh, okay, this has come, like you said before in your book, this has come to heal me, even though it looks painful.
Right.
It's
Right.
here because it needs to be resolved. It
That's
doesn't
right.
mean that you're going to turn the other cheek and all that. It just means, okay, this situation has come to me for me to see it, to see why it's controlling me.
That's
It's just
right.
like what the guy said. He said, yeah, I worked myself, but that fear and that humiliation no longer controls me.
No longer. That's right.
I am
Exactly.
now aware of it. I step back to see what was triggering it. I am aware of it and I am working on it, but I'm no longer allowing it to humiliate me.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
And the key thing what you say here, you know, that it's the humiliation isn't what other people say about him. It's what he thinks about what other people say about him.
exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So if that no longer affects him, then they can say what they want. I think there's an African proverb that says, well, once you have conquered the enemy within, the enemy without cannot harm you.
Mm-hmm.
So always really love that. And just an encouragement for us to do that in our work.
Mm-hmm. It's really important. Um, Warren, we have a few minutes left. I would like for people to get your contact information. Do you have any openings for new clients? Are you doing any workshops? In your book, you have this wonderful poster behind you. Give us
Yes.
your book and how people can order your book. So your social media handles and all of that.
Sure, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I'll have my book launch is on the 19th, Juneteenth, here at the Stonecrest area of what I call the Fortress of Healing, and it will be a great evening. I have some clients who will be giving testimonies. Somebody will be singing a song. But we'll have a DJ. I'll be interviewed and be recorded, and there will be books and T-shirts will be for sale. So my Instagram handle is warren.mitchell.inspires.
Okay.
Warren,
Spell it for them, please.
WARREN dot MITCHELL
Mhm.
dot INSPIRES. I think let me show it to you here on the banner. So there you'll be able to see it more. So these are my handle, and if you can take a picture now, the middle one especially, will take you to the website, and
Mm-hmm.
you can pre-order the page of the book. I should have the pre-order ones that I'll be signing um, coming up this week,
Mm.
and my LinkedIn is there, as you can see. And my web is journeyofselfdiscovery.org. If you want to go straight to the book, the page for the book, the landing page is journeyofselfdiscovery.org/books.
Mm-hmm.
And my email, journeyofselfdiscovery@gmail.com.
Mm. Wonderful. So, and they can also get it on Amazon. Is that correct?
Yes, that's going to be available. Hopefully, I'm waiting for the final confirmation on those, but that should be available by the 19th. Amazon, Ingram, I think it's called Draft 2 Digital, and they will be available. Ingram will make it internationally available in bookstores and other places, and Amazon will have the version that you'd normally go to Amazon and pick up. I'm actually in 2 days I'll start doing the audio recording of the
Oh,
book,
okay.
and
Mhm.
so that will be available probably next month.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. And you have t-shirts too, you had mentioned.
Yes, I will have t-shirts available. We have four colors, and we'll have a certain emblem. One is going to be either with a male or a female, another one with TSF, the Sacred Forge emblem, and then the back will have the title of the book that you see here.
Mhm. That's wonderful. So, what's the age demographic for the book?
25 to 60. I won't say 25 and up, but 25 to 60 is what I've been working with. So people
Mhm.
who are maturing into wanting to better know of themselves, people who have gone through the fire and are not sure, um, did they get the message that the fire was teaching them? They may have thought that people that are mature at our age who feel that, well, I've given all my life to family and to work and to all that. It's too late. No, 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 no. It's never too late. Now is the perfect time. And once you get the insights of the book and helping you to recognize that you are still a brilliant wonder, your life will be renewed. The energy will be tapped into again with the invigoration that you will feel for life, for self, for loving, for being with people, being able to discern who should be in your inner space and circle and who should not be, and being
Mhm.
able to learn the practice of having the courage to say no,
Yeah,
me first,
yeah,
right? That's my primary ministry is taking care of me and then from me to others.
yeah. I think that's a wonderful, insightful uh, motto by which to live. Me first. I heard Iyanla Vanzant say this decades ago. First, God, the creator,
Hmm.
then me, and everyone
Hmm.
else has to take a ticket and stand in line.
Hmm. Right.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Yeah.
She uses the term soulful. She talked about the cup, that you pour into the cup, and all that's in the cup is yours,
Hmm.
and it's over it belongs to others. I challenge it a bit. I use the term self-true. Um, self-true is different from selfless. There's three self-oriented mindsets, I call them. Selfish, selfless, and people think selfless is where it's the way to go. Selfless is as toxic as being selfish, right? And it's just where's the disguise because you're doing good for others and other people appreciate it that you're doing what God has called you to. No, God is not selfless either.
Mm-hmm.
Self-truth says it is my responsibility to check in with myself to see what's healthy for me
Mm-hmm.
before I say yes or no to you.
Yeah, I
That
believe in
is,
that so wholeheartedly. And I think women, particularly women, call us alcavalents, which is this, aka Black people throughout the diaspora,
Mhm.
have been guilty of being uh, selfless and
Right.
not having
Yeah.
their cups filled and getting burnt out. So I think
Yes.
now women are beginning to see, women, melanated women are beginning to see that you can still give, but you cannot give from an empty cup.
No, no.
And so
And
women have been giving with a little drop in the cup, and
yeah,
they're just depleted.
yeah. And there'll be moments where spirit may say, give what you have.
Hmm.
But you're not, to me, how I look at it, if what you have is what you feel led to do by spirit, you're not giving from an empty cup. You're
Right,
given by the fullness of the word of the spirit that told you to give because I got your back. So the
right,
cup is not empty. Versus you don't have that and you just have to give the little that you have. No, no.
right,
Yeah.
right. And that's coming from the ego too, because we
Right.
feel like, especially women again, we've been programmed in the past that you are a wonderful person if you if you just keep giving and giving and giving at your expense, and people will love you because you're this doting mother, uh, compassionate friend, whatever, and you're exhausted. So I don't
Yeah.
think that, and from what you've shared and with your practice, which is amazing, you're telling people to really look within and go within because your inner guide would really show you that you are important and you are very worthy of being honored and loving you first.
That's right. Yeah.
And,
Without
and
having
you
to please anybody.
and you don't need people's permission.
Oh, you don't.
So yeah, I know women who do that. And
And there are men who do it as well, unfortunately, that certain manhood have taught us that our performance is what determines our worth as well. When we make family happy, when we make community happy, when we make culture happy, when we make religion happy, that's what makes us be men. When we can handle the pain, right?
Mhm,
We express it as a sign of weakness. So you tough it out. That's what makes you a man.
mhm,
And
mhm.
that's not true.
That's very true. Yeah, and it starts from childhood. Yeah. And so with your methodology and your expertise and your and your knowingness, we're beginning to reverse it. And I think that's
Right.
really, really commendable.
Right.
So, Warren, I thank you. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to have you on Great Lives that
Very
people
nice.
on the
On the
rise. And
rise.
do go to uh, Amazon to buy Warren's book and get in touch with him. He gave you his social media handles. So definitely get in touch with him so that you can purchase his wonderful book and also seek him out as your support person, your therapist, because in these troubled times, we need all the support that we can get. Don't try to do this alone. It's
That's
too
right.
much. It's too
That's
much. You
right.
need a support system. And all the spiritual and religious avatars had people that they talk to. All of
That's
them.
right. Yep.
All of them people. Okay. They didn't
That's
they
right.
didn't attempt to do this alone. So um
Yeah, I have my own therapist as well. So yeah,
yeah, yeah. And I have my support system. I whew, and I said, whew, there's a lot that is on these
that's
shoulders.
right. That's
So I
right.
said, I need to be able to release in a safe space. And so the thing about Warren is that the space is safe Because that's what a lot of people are saying. Some people in the community say, well, I'm not crazy. I don't need a therapist. And I tell them, so honey, you will be crazy if you don't get
If
one.
you in a minute.
Even a
Agreed.
lot of
Agreed.
ministers are telling people, look, we're not therapists. We want you to go to see a therapist because you're hurting. We can
That's
give you
right.
spiritual bread, but we can't give you the other parts that a therapist can give you. So please seek out Warren. He gave you his information. His book is coming out. Invite him to your book clubs to
That's
talk
right.
about his wonderful book and to have these wonderful discussions because we could bridge the men and the women together in having book clubs. So
That's
that's
right.
something to think about. But thank you again, Warren. It's been amazing. You were absolutely wonderful. We appreciate you. And for the listening audience, don't forget every Sunday, 7 to 8 p.m., click on Gray Lives on the Rise YouTube channel. We're also available on Facebook, LinkedIn, Spotify audio, Spotify video. Okay, so we're everywhere. And we're
Right.
definitely
Yep.
global.
That's right.
And
That's
so we
pretty cool.
thank you so much for your continuous support. And until next time, beloveds, and go to the website, oyindeenterprises.com, OYIN, like a Nancy, DE, Enterprise, ENTERPRISES.com. And when you go there, you will see all of the businesses. You will see Jamila Sense, and you will also see Gray Lives on the Rise. And if you would like to be a speaker, a guest speaker, contact me via that form that you will see on the website so we can make it happen. Okay.
Let's do it.
Namaste, beloveds, and be good to yourselves, okay? All right. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Gray Lives on the Rise, being brought to you by Jamila Sense, which is the product line of Oyinde Enterprises. Jamila Sense is a 100% natural aromatherapy line that heals the mind, body, and soul. This episode of Gray Lives on the Rise was intended to uplift you, to inspire you, and to motivate you. Please tell all of your friends, family members, and anyone you know who's 50 plus, who's living a vibrant life and interested in doing more and enjoying life even to its fullest. So thank you, and please subscribe, like, and comment on this video and all our videos. Thank you, and until next time, until our next podcast, namaste and be well.